owner-occupants that have not purchased a HUD home within 2 years. HUD does have a special incentive. If you purchase a HUD home with FHA financing, the down payment requirement is only $100 versus the traditional 3.5% down. So there's a special incentive there.
Okay, well, all right. Is that just for now, or how long is that going to be for?
Not sure how long it's going to be, but it has been ongoing now since 2010. I started listing the homes in 2010, and it's been going on since then. So not sure when the cutoff is going to be, but it's a great deal for anyone looking to buy.
So what would be the procedure? Let's say I was in the market for a home right now. Let's say I was looking for a HUD home. Is there certain qualifications that I would have to have, or something like that?
The first thing you need to do is get with a mortgage representative and get pre-qualified for the loans. And you can, there are a lot of different types of loans out there, but FHA is a good one to buy a HUD property or any other property. And
is anyone qualified? I mean, as long as you meet the qualifications for your credit, then anybody can get involved in that?
Right, and there's the rural development loans too that are great for properties that are out in the country, and almost all of Walton County is in that program.
What about somebody that has a HUD home now, but like a lot of people are kind of over their head or they're having trouble making payments? Is there any refinancing? I mean, it just seems like I hear supposedly there's all these government programs to make refinancing available, but it's like hen's teeth. It's just almost impossible to get. I mean, is that still the way, or is it easier to do some refinancing now if you're having any problems?
Well, I would say that it's still the same qualification that a regular buyer would go through. If it's someone that's having difficulty making their payments on a current HUD mortgage or FHA mortgage, they would need to contact a lender. They could possibly contact the person that wrote the first loan to see if they qualify to do a refi.
I see. Is there any particular programs out? I mean, it seems like every time I turn around, I'm hearing some kind of a program that the government's trying to put out. But to be honest with you, it seems like it's so complicated sometimes I just can't keep up with it all.
I think the best thing for people to do is to consult a realtor for things like that, because sometimes the buyers are not really up to speed on how to handle the paperwork and how to deal with the bank. So it's best to have a real estate representative to help you and coach you along the way.
How are lending institutions doing? Are they getting a little bit freer with their money now, or is it still really hard to get a loan, even if you're qualified sometimes? Unless you can put a huge amount down, it's almost impossible to get banks to loan more money for a mortgage.
There are still a lot of loans being loaned at this time. A lot of different programs. They are stricter than they were 10 years ago because they have to be. There's a lot more federal regulations, as well as they've learned from their mistakes. They've got to qualify the people better so that they don't end up in the same mess again.
I know, like a lot of people, especially when I look at the Walton Tribune and I go to the back page, it's just foreclosure, just tons and tons of foreclosures. Is this still a good time now? I mean, it just seems with so many properties available and interest rates, they need 15 and 30-year rates are 3.5%, 3.125%. It just seems like this would almost be a good time if somebody is looking to buy, to get out and you can find some pretty good deals.
It still is a great time to buy. Prices are still down overall. They've gone up a little bit, which is a good sign. The economy is leveling out some and starting to go back up. So I do think that if you're wanting to buy a house, you need to go ahead and try to find one now. In another year, I think the prices will be up.
So you think we're pretty much as low as we're going to go right now? I mean, interest rates have, this is the lowest they've been in the history of the United States. I don't think they've ever been any lower than this, except back in the frontier days when you had a couple of chickens and some goats you could buy a home with or something. I don't know, but when I hear, and I'm probably going to age myself a little bit here, but I just fall over when I say you can get a 30-year or 15-year loan for 3%, 3.5%. When I first moved out here, I moved over here in Good Hope, and I bought some property over there. This was in 1988. The interest that I was paying on that loan was 10.75%.
Wow. And
I thought I was getting a pretty good deal because that was back then. But to get a home now, a mortgage, and with so many properties available, and to get even a 15-year loan, you can probably get it at 4% or maybe a little bit more than that. That's just incredible. If I were in the market, I agree with you. I would certainly be out, even as an investor. Maybe it's a good time for investors to be looking for some property. Yeah.
And for first-time home buyers, if you're going from a rental property the average rent I'd say in this area is anywhere from $750 to $1,000 a month. They can, if they qualify, they can buy a house, and their payment that includes taxes and insurance will be a lot less than what they're paying rent. I have seen people half their payment, and this will be something that they're purchasing as a home of their own.
Well, and well, of course, it's a little out of your area, but I mean, even a refi right now, if people have got a 6 or 7% loan, certainly if they haven't refied by, I don't know what they're waiting for, but this would certainly be a great time to do that. Is it difficult? I mean, is it? I guess with the new laws and regulations, it is getting more difficult for people to get approved for credit for a loan.
If they have good credit, I think, especially with the FHA and rural development, the low down payment loans, they're still loaning a lot of money. There's still a lot of loans being made.
Yeah, well, that's good. But you said you only, with this new HUD program, only have to have $100? Is that what you said? If
a person is purchasing a HUD home with FHA financing, they only have to put $100 down versus the standard 3.5% down payment requirement.
Are they kind of putting some controls on that? Because isn't that what us got is in this problem to begin with? These subprime
once
loans?
Again, the people have to be credit worthy.
They have to have what is considered a good credit score? Something over what, like 750, or I mean, what is considered good credit?
I've seen people obtain FHA mortgages on a 620 credit score.
620, wow. Mm-hmm. So I guess as long as you've got a job and you can prove your income and your debt to income ratio is not some high number, I guess this would be a good time to do that.
Right. So they will be thoroughly checked out by the mortgage lender before they're given that loan.
I know a lot of them have been so overly checked out that it's been so hard for people. I mean, I listen to some of the financial shows on the radio, and people just have a really hard time. Financial institutions have really cracked down because the government has gotten on them about being more careful with the loans that you submit. Well, that's great. Well, listen, I think I've kept up too much of your time here. Julio told me to send you back over at 22. So I want to thank you, Anita Robertson-Peters, and Debbie Jones for being here this morning and talking about some realty information for us, the homes that may be available. We're certainly glad that you stopped by. We look forward to seeing you here again.
Thank you.
We'll send you back over to Julio, so watch out over there.
Thank you for having us.
All right, it is right now 8:45. We're 15 minutes away from the top of the hour. Let's take a quick break for some messages, and then we'll be back with Steve Dale's Pet Minute here on AM 1490 WKUN. Stay with us.